Hey guys, welcome to NS Academy. So, firstly, I want to thank all of you for the 10,000 subscribers milestone that I've just reached. So, this is a great achievement, obviously. And in these times, in this kind of situations, all I can say is that stay safe, and I hope all you are doing well. So, I do not have really something special to get on with in this video, but it's just a follow-up video after, or maybe the first video after I've reached that milestone. So, in this video, I'm going to discuss to you about the strategies and the plans we need to execute for cracking the RMU. And obviously, this year, everything would be a bit delayed. For example, the essay exam would be on 2nd August. The CMI is announced to be on the first to second weekend of August. So, these two major examinations on which most of our content is based on, these are going to be scheduled in August, right? Now, basically, if we calculate well, we have a little less, a little more than 2 months in hand. Now, how do we utilize these 2 months? Now that we have known the date, now that we know that how much time we have left, so we need to utilize it in some way. And will there be any change in the pattern in this year's question regarding the situation and concerning whatever has happened, the delay in exams, the situations, the time people have got to prepare, or maybe the time they have been devoting to the board exams because they are also in line? So there are a lot of factors we should count in, right? So what can we say about the exams, and what can we actually predict about it, and how should we prepare about it? Well, my suggestion is, since most of the people's or maybe all of yours board exams are hanging, now there's something that JEE's not been done yet. JEE main and advanced are hanging, HS and all your 12th board examinations are hanging, and obviously ISI and CMI are both hanging too. Now in this kind of scenarios, we can expect ISI and CMI to become a little strict, because since there is less time, so we can expect more competition, because most probably, as CMI has done from the past 3 years, they are not taking any interviews so as to not waste any time, and they are just taking the people right away. So previously CMI used to select a lot of people, and then after interview they used to be reduced to some 90s, so the entire batch would have been of 90s. And ISI used to select more than 150 people, and then after selection and stuff there should have been 50 people left in the batch. Now, considering all this year ISI could expect, you could expect from ISI that it might give you a deliberately tough objective paper. This objective paper is the main thing because this screens you. This objective paper is the screening paper, and if you qualify it, obviously you're going to make it to these objectives, and if you do well there, you are going to make to the interviews. And there is also a slight chance that there might be no interviews, and that's why the competition might rise. So the usual cutoff of 70 to 72, which we have expected in the last years or all of the last years in ISI, might actually increase. And so similarly, the subjective cutoff of 35 to 40 might also increase, but these two are correlated, so if one increases, one decreases, because the aggregate matters. So well, this might happen because, yeah, interviews might be taken. I'm not saying, I'm not denying the possibility that there might be interviews, but obviously even if there are interviews, they would be too fast and competition would be very high this year. Well, regarding the situation, now how should we prepare and what should we expect from ISI examination? Let's see that. So as I've already told in a lot of my videos in ISI preparation stages, that we have a few topics in hand when we are doing mathematics, and one of the most important topics is calculus. Now in calculus, we can expect to have 3 or 4 topics that have more weightage than the others, that carry some special weightage probably. These topics are differentiability, continuity. These two are the most important topics because obviously you're always guaranteed to have a question from this. Now then comes limit. These are the topics from which you're obviously going to get a question in any way. So you're going to get a question. So if you prepare these topics not well but well enough, so these marks are very much guaranteed for you. So differentiability, continuity, limit, functions, and obviously derivatives, and lastly integrations and differential equations. So these are the topics. So they may constitute about 5 to 6 questions, and these questions will give you around 24 points out of 120, which are very important. So target for this 24 marks. These are very crucial because the cutoff might be a bit high and it might rise to 75 to 80, but this doesn't matter because you're competing with others and not with the marks. The marks are relative. If everyone scores below 50, then the cutoff will be below 50, right? So that doesn't matter. So you must target for 80, and out of which these 24 marks are very crucial. And this 24 marks, out of this, if you can even achieve 20, that's huge. Because in the rest portion, you just need to get above 60 or maybe 60, and that is achievable by what I'm saying to you right now. So this calculus portion could be covered, and for which I'll be giving you videos regularly from now on, involving this topic, some short tricks on how to easily do problems, on what happens when you have mod x or mod x cube, what are the differentiability criteria of this kind of functions, what happens is mod of sin x cube. I mean, to easily identify and not to check all the right hand derivatives, that is the right derivatives and the left derivatives, you do not need to check them. Once I give you the tricks, and you can visualize the functions easily and understand how is it done. So saying all this, we can say that in the calculus portion, there are a few problems that actually might help you get some really good marks, around 20 to 24. And if you are good with this, then comes the next part. Now this part obviously has the most number of questions. This is the algebra part. Now in algebra part, we have a certain number of things, that is PNC, that is permutations and combinations, and then we have probability. These two have obviously a lot of marks, and a topic from which questions are guaranteed is sequence. So you can even expect 2 questions from this. Sequence means AP, GP and HP alone, or maybe sometimes recursion, but you can always expect 1 or 2 questions from this. There will be always 1 or 2 questions from probability and 1 or 2 questions from PNC. So these 3 are the strongholds in algebra, and obviously then comes equation and roots. So theory of equations or roots, from this you can expect 1 question, and after that roots, PNC, probability, sequences. There would be some miscellaneous questions like some geometry questions punched with algebra, like you need algebraic concepts to solve that geometry problem, maybe coordinate geometry and stuff. But anyhow, I'll be getting around 8 to 9 questions from algebra alone, and this around 40 marks or so. These are very important. So you need to score at least 28 out of 40 out of this. So you have to score all the sequence problems correctly. You have to score all the probability problems correctly. The roots problem, you may or may not do it, that's okay. But the permutation and combination, you need to do at least 2 out of 3 correctly if there are 3 questions. So you can expect to leave 2 questions out of this. The roots question, if there are 2 of them, you must score 1, because 1 will be easy. Do not worry about that, that's the pattern. If there are 2 questions, 1 should be doable and another might be tough. Might be, it's not guaranteed. So it might be the case that both of them are doable. So this 28 marks are again very important. And how to do this roots problem, how to do the theory of equations, the permutations and combinations, the probability, the sequence, I'll be seeing, just giving it to you all. I'll be preparing some PDF documents too for the suggested questions and some questions which I've collected from various parts of the various books and various internet stuff. So I'll be getting everything, and obviously absolutely for free. That's not even a question. So this part constitutes algebra. And then there are some small parts like trigonometry, and I actually have made geometry combined with algebra, but I haven't counted the questions. So add it here, geometry, which means Euclidean geometry alone, because if there's a coordinate geometry problem, I will treat it as an algebra problem alone, because there is nothing much than concept in coordinate geometry other than algebra. So trigonometry and geometry are one of the 2 strongholds. Okay. One extra topic is mensuration. Mensuration is important, and they have been found to give questions on this topic. Not rarely, but yeah, often they give questions on mensuration. So basic shape counting, like area of a cone, volume of a cone, curved surface area of a cone, and then parallelopipeds and stuff. You might have to do some questions like this. And finally, we have the number theory portion. Well, this portion in objectives would be clearly theoretical, that is, not much of wit or intelligence should be required, but a certain amount of knowledge on different kind of number theoretic functions like sigma of n, tau of n, phi of n. This should be sufficient to crack the exam, because most of the questions of this pattern would be given, or maybe a small Diophantine equation could be given, and Diophantine equations mostly can be solved by trial and error method, and one of the only solutions you can see in the range of -10 to 10, all of the solutions you can see in this range are usually the answer. And sometimes if you do not get any answer, the answer is usually 0 solutions, but well, we can still learn how to do it properly if it were given as a subjective. So that's all for the objective part. Now this objective part has very much complicacy, because all of these questions, they have been ranked from easy to difficult, and I'll just give you a chart of how this works. So if we are talking about easy questions, that's a separate chart, and if we are talking about medium questions, there would be a number of questions that are termed as medium, and then there would be tough questions or difficult questions. So out of 30 questions, if you see carefully, there should be 6 questions or to 8 questions. This should be easy. The 6 to 8 are doable with enough concept and theory. Easy doesn't mean you have been given x plus 1 equals to 0 and what's x is minus 1. It's not like that. But yeah, with enough theory and knowledge and mathematical practice, you can do this very easily. So this 6 to 8, that means around 30 marks are very much obtainable. Medium, most of the questions lie in this range. So around 14 to 15 questions lie in this range. So this medium level questions require a bit of intelligence, a bit of practice, patience and mathematical proficiency. And if you have that by constant practice and learning a lot of theory, seeing a lot of problems, having a lot of experience, then yeah, you will be able to crack this medium level problems. And finally comes the difficult level problems, well, the rest of them obviously. So you cannot expect, so these numbers tend to increase. So I will not write like this. So only 5 to 6 questions are difficult. So obviously do not add them up to 30. That's not how it's done. But these questions will add up, and they will add up to 30. Okay, so easy questions would be around 6 to 8, which means it should be around 20 to 25% of questions should be easy, and obviously 15% of questions should be tough, and the rest should be medium. So that's the trick. So usually in examinations, difficult questions are 2 to 3%. Most of the questions are medium or easy, but it's obviously not the case in ISI. So that's for the objective paper. And topic wise, how to prepare, I'll put a video on each and every topic, and then we'll start doing the topics. Well, I'll do everything I can. And now comes the subjective part. Now what about the subjective part? So for subjective paper, it's completely a different story, and here you have 8 questions of 10 marks each, and you need to solve at least 4 of them correctly. You need to solve at least 4 of them correctly. Now if you just classify this subjective questions, you can see that if we say something is easy, there should be 2 questions that are very easy. So 2 questions, that is 20 marks. This should be easy. So in every paper, if you see along, you will find 2 such questions that you can do easily with your 12th board concept, and maybe not even applying some more concepts, or maybe applying a little higher concept, because knowing something out of the world doesn't make any difference in easy or difficult. It's how you can approach. If the approach is difficult, then obviously it's termed as a difficult problem. So if you remember, there was a question like f of e to the power tx equals to fx or something. So yeah, this was an easy problem, but yeah, you needed mathematical rigor to make sure that you do it correctly, because making things understand, so you need to show that it's a constant function, so it's tough. It's not really that easy, but we could categorize it as easy compared to ISI standards. Then comes medium. So medium is very much like 3 questions almost in every year are medium. So this 30 marks are medium. And the final hard questions, they are obviously the last 3. are hard. So medium and hard almost share the equal percentage here, and there is a very thin line of difference between medium to hard, and that thin line separates that whether you can do the problem completely or not. So if you can do the three medium problems, you might be able to do the all the three hard problems, but up to some level you might not be able to complete it. And then you realize, oh my god, I didn't complete it. Will I get marks? Oh well, you will get marks, but not enough. So that's the difference between medium and hard. You do not get much marks for partial marking. So either you do it completely or you don't. There's nothing in between. So this is the marks distribution, if we can say, for subjective and objective, and yeah, you know how to prepare for it. So we need to do subjectively now, and objectively we need to understand how to do this. So in the following up videos, one by one, so starting with calculus, most probably I'll be trying to cover the topics that would be required. I'll not cover each and every basic part because most of those videos are already on my channel, but I'll try to cover the topics exactly required, and I'll be giving you exercise problems and some PDF documents if possible, made by me, which I'm making right now, because there's literally nothing to do. So I'll be seeing you in the next videos, and I would really like to have some feedback for this video, because this is a video after I've reached 10,000 subscribers, to be honest, and that's a great milestone for me. I really thank you all for staying with me this long, and hope that you stay with me longer. Thank you.